case-by-case basis, based on, review of each individual case for 276? And is there a potential that an individual who scores 283 in one department gets less of a merit increase than a person scoring 279 in another department?
No. When we go to looking at, if you look at a sliding scale, 2.83, no matter what department you would be in, would be the same amount.
But that's not in the actual...
No, because it's more of an operational, component that we would look at as we start to look at the employees and the pool of money.
Okay, so basically...
Because you kind of want to look at, how many employees in the budget you set aside a certain amount of money. You want to see how many employees you have so that you know that you're not exceeding the amount of money that you set aside. You set aside $60,000.
Correct, but my thinking here is that if you end up with everybody getting 279 or 280 or 285.
Awesome.
That's awesome, but it
would be a smaller amount.
There's potential that there might be a smaller amount given out in merit increase.
Yeah.
And I think that we had discussed the fact that if we were to have a whole bunch of people that went above and beyond, I mean, we're talking about extraordinary performance here. We're not talking about, just getting by on average. Okay, we're talking about people who go above and beyond and exceed the job description consistently. I think that they should be entitled to the same kind of increase, regardless of how many people exceed those numbers. And I don't think it should be tied to necessarily, if we end up busting a budget number for that, to me, we'll have revenues coming in that will support it just because of the fact we're at a higher performance level. And we'll be able to look at cutting our operational costs in other areas because we'll build efficiencies into the process. I think it pays for itself. So I think that we need to look at better codifying that sliding scale so that we know, so individuals who are out there working in the city staff have some certainty as to what they can expect if they receive a certain score.
Okay.
Instead of having it individually, managed on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. But I guess I don't understand how that makes any difference. So if you put a scale in here and you say 2.76 is going to get 1% of merit, 2.77 is going to get 2% of merit, you're still, you don't know what that is until your reviews are. And so from a budget perspective,
that's correct.
What are your dollars? I mean,
right.
I guess when we submit this budget, we're telling the state this is the maximum amount of money that we're going to spend in this budget. So when you say below the budget number, I mean, we can't do that.
No,
so there has to be some constraints around it, whether it's a dollar figure and you say all the directors and managers need to manage within this $60,000 and that's going to be managed to make sure of consistency. But I just don't see how a sliding scale when we have to budget at this point would make any difference.
Okay, so my question here is, why not budget for the highest possible outcome, which would be a 4% on salary for 108 employees? I mean that's a viable question. If you're going to be overestimating expenses and underestimating revenues, you need to budget for the highest possible contingency in that case. Because there's going to be chances here that what you're saying is you have a 4% potential for a 4% increase for high performance employees if they reach the highest possible performance rating. And now you're saying that based on budget numbers, they may not get 4%. Is that, I'm just taking it from the standpoint of perceptions of city staff.
And that's actually how it's always been. If you didn't have the budget, you didn't get the bonus, simply put.
But we do, we're putting in a budget for that.
Right. But
so is the budget adequate?
Well, I think it's also important to understand the historic numbers of the percentage of the employees.
We estimated based on that.
And we estimated based on that.
Okay.
And the way this is developed, it is developed to drive that percentage up. But even if you doubled it, you're talking about, is it about 10%?
It is not quite that high. No, it's a little more than 10%. We budgeted for, historically it's been about 12 people and so we budgeted 15 and then rounded up.
Okay. And that's.
So that was for our first try at this, our first year.
And that's fair. I'm hoping and have some confidence that we will get some very high performance out of this, and that the employees will take advantage of this program.
And next year, we'll bring it back to you. Again, strategic budgeting
Yep.
is evaluating, monitoring, and adjusting as needed. So,
Year after year.
I'm a huge fan of this, by the way, and you know this. We've
Yeah.
had these discussions. High-performance organizations tend to drive efficiencies, drive down costs, and build a better, basically a better level of service. I want that for the city. I want to be able to best leverage our tax dollars to be able to get the best possible outcomes for the people of the city.
Well, I hope we'll be able to come back and ask you for not 12 or 15 employees next year, but 30 employees who made the mark, because this is geared to really drive the type of organization that you're talking about. It's the first step towards driving that kind of organization.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? I'd entertain a motion. What was the resolution number? 2435? Whoa, how'd you
This is
say?
a
Resolution number 1894.
1894? I make a motion to adopt resolution number 1894, providing for the adoption of personnel policies and procedures, 2010 edition for the city of Gardner, Kansas, and repealing resolution number 1841.
Second.
Motion, Shute, second Harrison, that we adopt resolution number 1894, providing for adoption of the change to the Personnel Policy Manual, 2010 edition. All those in favor? Resolution, remind me again. Roll call or? Okay. Shute,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Kodovich,
No.
Freeman? Yes. Harrison?
Yes.
Resolution number 1894 passes. New business item number 5. Consider passing an ordinance amending Title 13 Utilities, Chapters 13.15.010 and 13.40.010 to increase water and wastewater rates. I look up, and Laura Gorley's still at the phone.
I'm still here. In all my glory. So, housekeeping item number 4. As we have discussed during the budget presentations, the 2014 budget for the water and wastewater funds included the critical maintenance projects, as we discussed, and a total of 3 additional staff, one of which was shared between water and wastewater. Further, because you don't have enough growth-related revenues, operating transfers are still continuing into the Water Development and Wastewater Development Fund to pay for previously incurred debt for growth-related items at that time. So these rate increases are necessary to fund those critical projects we discussed and to maintain adequate fund balance, which we also discussed was 11%, at least 11%. So approval of the attached ordinance will implement the graduated water rate structure we discussed. It will increase the water rates by 8%, the sewer rates by 11%, and the impact to the average customer is $8.59 per month.
Thank you, Laura. At this time, we'd open the floor to public comments regarding new business item number 5. Is there anyone that would like to speak about new business item number 5? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and be heard.
Robert Page, 249 West Park. I've been listening to this and a lot of this going on, and I think probably, correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, but some of this raises because when our previous administrator set up to pay off the sewer plant and the water plant, why, he figured 250 taps a year would make the payments every year. And at the time, we were building anywhere from 400 to 500 homes. Now it's down less than 100, 150. So hopefully, as you pass this, that if we ever get out and get our country going here where we can build up to 250 homes a year, they'll be able to lower these rates back down. I know some of you talk